I've always had a weird relationship with sharing music. It took me a while to develop any sort of confidence in my own musical preferences and not feel like some monkey-brained sound hearer who just plays whatever music I've already heard before. There wasn't much opportunity to discover my own tastes growing up, so I resorted to just listening to whatever was on my friend's iPod Touch. But one day, that all changed. Spotify really changed the game in the early 2010s in terms of how music is consumed and discovered. I don't think I'm alone in saying that my listening habits changed a lot once I downloaded that app, and a big part of that is honestly thanks to Spotify Wrapped. It might sound strange, but I think Spotify Wrapped specifically has made me and probably a lot of other people evolve in how they listen to music over the years. So I want to take a look back at the history of Spotify Wrapped, everything it's become on the internet, and what it's meant to me in my own journey from sound hearer to music enjoyer. Spotify Wrapped, the worldwide phenomenon where everyone gets to find out how bad their taste was in January.
Drake?
It's a yearly tradition where Spotify shares your most listened to songs, artists, and genres of the year, all in a colorful little presentation meant to encapsulate who you were this past year. Spotify Wrapped began in 2015 under the name Your Year in Music. I was there, a Spotify user at the time, albeit an infrequent one. And you know what? It was really cool. Seeing all this data about myself with a habit as potentially intimate as music listening, it was like a peek into my own soul in a way I'd never seen before. And it was really exciting to see myself represented that way, until I was Sim's original video game soundtrack. I mean, not that it's not a banger, but the problem was I hardly used Spotify at the time, so beyond the only 5 songs I listened to that year, everything else was just random shit I'd listened to one time, and that's not that fun. But honestly, I feel like this motivated me to use Spotify more. When 2016 rolled around, I knew that my stats were being tracked. Every time I listened to anything, my year in music would be affected. And I wanted a true picture of my favorite songs at the end of the year. So I became aware, and honestly, over-aware. Pretty soon I kept track of everything I listened to and practically tried to mold my Spotify Wrapped into what I thought it should look like. And that kind of defeats the whole point. Now instead of getting an honest reflection of what I wanted to listen to this year, I just got a certificate affirming, yep, Imagine Dragons. This isn't fun, this isn't who I am, this is exactly what I expected it to be, because I thought these should be my favorite songs of the year, so I listened to them on repeat until the numbers I chose got spat back out at me. And I chose Imagine Dragons! I think the coolest part of Spotify Wrapped is getting that honest reflection of what you listened to this year. Not some perfectly curated lists of the songs and artists that you think should represent you. And yet for a couple of years, I was very conscious of everything that would affect my Wrapped. And I didn't even share it back then. I wasn't trying to impress anyone with the music I liked, I just felt like I knew who my favorite artists were, and I wanted the validation of seeing them at the top of the list, just like I thought. But that brings me to another crucial aspect of what Spotify Wrapped has become. Something to share on Instagram. 2016 was the first year the Spotify Wrapped name was used, and as far as I remember, this was the first year it developed any kind of social media presence. See, in 2015, the whole Year in Music thing was run through its own dedicated website. You could hop on, log into your Spotify account, and it would show you all your data and let you download a playlist of your top songs. But in 2016, they took things a step further, sending every Spotify user their unique Wrapped portfolio. So now not only did you not really have to go out of your way to generate your own playlist and statistics, but it was also presented in this highly shareable format that Spotify pushed people to share all December. I mean, sure, in 2015 you could have shared a screenshot of your playlist or something, but in 2016 it seems like Spotify really realized they were onto something fun and shareable. Like goldfish. So people actually posted this stuff, and it was cool. Letting people see the stuff you were into this year, starting conversations about music.
Have you heard of the Beatles?
And all of a sudden, the floodgates were opened. This was an actual thing now. People started looking forward to next year's, and Spotify started looking forward to money. So basically every year since, it's become more promoted, slammed in the face of every Spotify user in early December, and customized so that everyone, everywhere, can easily share their top tracks. Almost everyone.
So this is great. We've finally got a new tradition that lets people learn more about each other, discover new music, and celebrate some of the year's greatest art. But what if you're a little bitch?
Yeah, you don't have to share your Spotify Wrapped, but then how will people know you existed? Personally, I kept my Wrapped a secret for the first few years. Like I said, I think I mostly just felt embarrassed. I still didn't believe in my monkey ears. I didn't want people to see Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield in my top 20. So I just kept to myself. But there was always a part of me that felt like, man, what if I let them know? So it was 2019 when I finally manned up and shared my music with the world, and at that time, it felt good. I wasn't hiding in shame anymore. I didn't care about being bullied, even if I bully myself for some of those songs now. I think music is meant to be shared. It's a great way to connect people. Why not share your preferences with the world and see who agrees, who likes seeing this deeper side of you?
And for a while, I really felt like this was the right thing to do. Sometimes you've got to share everything, not care what other people think. Just release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else.
But lately I've realized there can be good reason not to share your rap too. Because as much as music is meant to be shared, it's not always done in the most genuine way. I feel like with Spotify Wrapped especially, sometimes there's this weird competitive aspect of it to see who knows the most underground artists, who's a bigger fan of Taylor Swift, who has the objectively right taste in music, and how can I rub it in to anyone who listened to less than 100,000 minutes of Post Malone? I've even seen posts about like, oh, it's November, time to fix your Spotify Wrapped. Like, fix your Spotify Wrapped? Fix the data? The statistics? For what? So the names on the list show up in the order you decide you like? So people don't know you liked the new Ariana Grande? So Blake from high school knows you listen to rap? Of course, I'm not really one to talk. I still did that all year long for a few years. But eventually I did get to a place of wanting to share my honest Spotify raps with the world. And I still do feel it's a great thing to share. But I've really come back around to seeing all the reasons not to share it. That weird competitive aspect is one for sure, but even more than that, I think music can be an incredibly personal, intimate experience. And it's nice to have that, to keep it to yourself. You don't have to put it out there for the whole world to see. Sometimes it's nice to just have something that's uniquely yours, and no one else has to be a part of that. Whether you've got the greatest playlist made in years, or you just don't want people to know that your top song is Peaceful Rain Noises, it can feel really nice to know that this playlist is you, and you don't need anyone else to validate that. So as 2022 continues the Spotify Wrapped tradition, I don't know if I'm gonna share my Wrapped this year or not. I'd love to put that positive energy out there for some of my favorite artists, see if anyone reaches out to me because they like my music taste, but after a few years of that, I don't really feel the need to show everyone anymore. It might be nice to just have a playlist for me.
I guess what I'm trying to say with this video is do whatever you want to do. Who cares if you share, don't share, or whatever. Just take pride in knowing that you listened to some good music this year, and next year you'll do it again. Because at the end of the day, everyone's music listening habits are valid. Unless you use Apple Music.